Sound, a group of vibrations. From the beginner to the master, from the novice to the professional, from playing and experimenting with things to create a masterpiece. These are all the elements of art, and the art in our show is sound. Hi, I'm LV Smith, host of that show called Sounds Within. Now, I'm just still going to continue to shake up the program some because everybody still thinks that Sounds Within's only about music. No. We're about anything involving sound. And we last started visiting another producer's turf, MC Franklin's Thursday Night Live, which is a great show to begin with, but we're on his turf for a while, at least on this show. And we had Peter Chen, who is a great producer, but we're going to have him back, but he's not going to be a producer this time. We're going to have him back as a stand-up comedian and something about teaching. Welcome back, Peter.
Oh, hi. Honored to be back.
Yeah. Well, we're honored to have you back. Now, you were answering one question we had. What was the sound that motivated you as a producer? What got you into it? Now, I'm here to ask you, Peter Chen, the stand-up comedian, what was the very first sound that motivated you to pursue being a stand-up comic?
Oh, well, it might be a sound, but it says, "You're funny." That's what I heard. I don't know if that's
someone told you, was the words saying you're funny?
I know. Yeah.
And
that was a long time ago. It was 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that was 30 years ago?
Yeah.
No, we won't ask that. I'm not ashamed of what I was back 30 years ago, but it's okay. I was considered old 30 years ago, so I'm ancient now. Older than dirt, I guess, but I don't care. This dirt still lives. Now, tell us about that.
Okay. 30 years ago, I was teaching in a community college because I have a master's degree in software, computer information system. I was teaching computer software, and I didn't know I was telling jokes. I said, and the joke starts this way, that when you execute a computer program, you have to hop, skip, jump, and run. So you don't get that. Anyway, that's okay. That's okay. All right. Here we go. Here's another one, okay? All right, so when you go to a computer store, you have to buy a computer. And the salesman always says, when you buy a computer, you have to buy a mouse. And I said, I don't need a mouse. I have a cat. So he says, well, you also have to buy a monitor, which doesn't come with the computer. I said, I have a monitor at home. My mother. Right? And then when you take it home, he said, you have to name it something. You have to give it a name, your computer. And I said, I call my computer Nancy. And he asked me why. I said, well, Nancy, I can turn Nancy on every day.
Well, hey, no offense. I mean, I watch a lot of comedy and stuff, and I don't ever really get to laugh. I mean, I'm just not there. You're one of the few that makes me just lose it.
Oh, thank you.
That's good.
No, but basically is when I was teaching, they told me that I was funny, then I become a comedian, and the story is I'm doing all these shows. You might want to watch one of them, or the documentary, which took me 15 years to make.
A 15-year-old documentary?
Mm-hmm. No, 15 years to make.
15 years to make documentary?
Yes.
Okay, what's it called?
It's called Saving Face, A True Doc.
Saving Face, A True Doc with Peter Chen, the comedian now. Roll it, folks. That's bad. Hit
it high. You need to hit right across and stop. Okay, let's try again. And action.
Wait. Oh! Whoa!
Yeah, you don't need to say flip. Go. Just, like this. You can't be like go complete. You must shoot without me going in it.
Oh, okay.
you're acting like that. Yeah, but you're still going up high. Going across. So just go across. Just
my head off.
Cut my neck off, right? And stop over there, okay? And you have to walk in though. Yeah, so walk in. So I fall down, you walk in.
Yep. Rolling.
Action. Yeah. You're gonna step in. Action. Whoa! So you need to act like you saw him and stop, okay? Stop, okay? Stop.
I gotta wait for you.
Yeah, you don't need to throw me. You're actually using force. Don't throw me. Okay, so bring it up, bring it down. That's all. Whoa! Now I go, that doesn't make sense. So what you want to do is down, and then up, and then sideways. Go ahead, turn your chin. No, that way. Yeah. Then sideways down. Okay? Yeah.
Peter Chen was at the Comedy Store on the Sunset Strip, the world famous Comedy Store in Hollywood. It was quite a night I'll never forget. I was actually the MC of the show, and Peter was the first comic that I ever brought up at the Comedy Store. He had a great set. I remember I was a little nervous. I didn't really do much time at all, and he stepped right in and won the crowd over, and it was it was great.
All Orientals like to save face. I always lose face, which means I get no respect.
Being Asian, I like to save face. But every time I try to save face, I end up losing face. So now I'm just gonna lose my face, which also means I get no respect.
My name is Peter Chen.
Hi, my name is Peter Chen.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, thank you, thank you.
When you lose your face, you lose respect. I can't get no respect, so I lose my face.
Peter Chen? Yeah, I think he's a doorman at the Comedy Store. I'm a millionaire, so I tip him pretty good.
When I first met Peter, he was working at the door, and he led me to my seat not knowing that I was a comic also.
Peter is very funny. I like his Chinese driver jokes. I've been on his cable show, and if something goes wrong, he just apologizes to no end.
I love when he's a really good opener, and he has a lot of interesting perceptions of comedy. He has his own his own point of view.
He comes out practically every show, and he's like a team player. He's totally flexible. He goes up at the beginning, the middle, the end, wherever. He gives me no problems. He just totally fits in.
Ability to hang and get it right and keep doing it until he's a paid regular.
For Peter Chen, his unappreciated genius often comes out in the form of heckling in the audience, but it doesn't affect him. It's like water off a duck's back.
I've known him for a long, long time, between La Jolla and Hollywood's comedy stores.
I want to do comedy, not because I have to, but because I want to. When I first started doing comedy 15 years ago, my relatives and my friends were laughing at me. They were laughing at me and say I'm crazy. Well, maybe I am crazy, but if I stopped now, I would have wasted 15 years of my life. I quit my job, sold my condo, lost my girlfriend because I wanted to do comedy. I don't blame her. I would have left me too. So now I'm taking odd jobs here and there to survive.
I started doing comedy in 1988, and I see Peter and all over the clubs, and there was a group of us. We would all meet somehow at the same clubs, and we'll go to one spot, do 10, 15 minutes, then follow each other and go to another spot. Back then, it was kind of easy to get on stage because comedy wasn't as popular on cable like it is now. So you had a lot of clubs popping up, and you're able to get time.
1980, I was teaching in college. The students were laughing off their chairs, and I was teaching a computer class, which was supposed to be boring and technical. Little did I know, I was writing and telling jokes. Making a decision to become a comedian, to do something totally different from what I was doing, took me 6 years and the death of my beloved mother. 1986, I started going to open mics. Back then, comedy was at a high. Clubs were opening up and spreading like wildfire all over the country.
for comics today because there are so many comics who want to get up on stage that you have to bring friends. People have to buy drinks. It's very involved just to get up on stage.
I mean, how would anybody know how difficult it is to be a comedian and how much personal sacrifice that you have to make to do what I do? It is not easy. A lot of pain and suffering goes into it. There's obstacles and limitations that I have to overcome. Stand-up comedy is the most difficult of all solo performing arts.
Getting stage time becomes very, very difficult.
And then you have to bring audience. Why don't the clubs provide the audience? Why do the comedians have to bring the audience?
It's hard because you got to bring all your friends to the show, and you can only do that so many times, and they've heard you before. They don't want to come and see you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all these different days, and spend their hard money to see you over and over and over again.
I have to write my own jokes, direct myself, and perform in front of total strangers. I give myself feedback and rewrite the jokes. Most of the time, I have to try the jokes several times before they work and repeat this process over and over until I get a routine I call an act. I made enormous sacrifice in order to do comedy. When people are staying in their nice and cozy home, I'm out there in the cold, in the rain, in the heat, standing in the street corner waiting to get on stage. Even my own family calls me a street bum. They told me to stop, and they laughed at me, asking, "Are you still doing it? And why?"
One way that you get booked is to contact somebody who runs a room.
12 noon and sit outside all day until 7 o'clock when you can sign up for 20 spots. And then you get 5 minutes.
People really need to see what really goes on and how hard comics really have to work. Just for 3 minutes, just for 5 minutes of your time.
A juggler can juggle things, or a magician can use his props, but a comedy, you're just up there with you and the audience.
He was very, very funny, and all these years later, he still is.
Peter's working out his stuff. I see him all the time. He's really consistent in his performances.
And the thing that I really like about watching Peter is he's very consistent. The first time I saw Peter, he was performing in front of an empty room. There were maybe 3 or 4 other comics. It was probably 1:30 in the morning. But he was very dedicated and he was passionate about his material, and he did it from the beginning to the very end, taking all of the pauses as if it were a real performance in front of a live audience.
Peter's got a good commitment. He's very committed to the art. He's been doing it so long, like myself, and he's very committed to what he wants to do.
But that's nothing compared to the stress, pain, and suffering due to the obstacles and hardship on the comedy scene. Back then, I waited 6 to 8 hours in order to get on stage. Now comics are waiting up to 15 hours. I went there at 6 in the morning and already 9 comics were there before me, and we waited all day. During the day, several lists of names changed over, and arguments and even fights had happened. At 8 p.m., we're allowed to go into the club and wait some more. When it was time to perform, I was hungry and tired. But we still have to be funny. When we go home at 2 a.m., we cannot sleep from the adrenaline, and we have to wake up early the next day to go to work. Repeat all this night after night, week after week, year after year. And when we are not funny, we get booed and we bomb.
It's not always a supportive, creative environment. The comics aren't always ready to help each other out or give each other material because it's very, very, very competitive.
Comics are heckling each other, actually trying to bring you down because they're competing for the stage time.
Even when you're on the list, you're next doesn't mean you're next. They put their friends on instead, and I get bumped, or my time gets cut short. It happens to me many, many times. I would get the last spot, and the MC wastes so much time before he brought me up that when I got on, the clubs are switching the lights out as I performed to empty tables and chairs. What are you going to do? Go home and cry? I did that many times. But the next day, I'm back waiting in line. Asian people don't like to watch other Asian performers, especially comedians. They tell me they would rather see black, white, Jewish, or Italian comics. It takes a lot of courage and passion to continue. I'm giving my heart and my soul to comedy.
I've never been to China. I'm born in Hong Kong and, been here like over 20 years.
When he comes to the club, it encourages me because of his dedication, his ambition to the business. And he's just a genuinely good person, and he's good to have around. And it's always good to see Peter, always.
First time I met Peter was at a clean room. There were children there. And when I saw, oh my gosh, there's children, you know, it's like, you know, all of a sudden the pressure on me was to be clean. And when I watched Peter do it, he made it look effortless.
I remember Peter, and I have done the Comedy Store many, many times, and then when I started here, Peter encouraged me very much and kept me going here, and then I watched the 20th anniversary of the Comedy Store special. If you watch it, you can see Peter is there.
I'm an American citizen now, but people still think I'm an Asian guy.
Trust him that whatever he's doing on stage is funny. And for a Chinese guy, he's a good guy.
He really is an inspiration, and I even forget he's Asian, to be honest.
Being a Latin comic, I understand how tough it is in this city to work as a comedian, and I think it's great that Peter's out there.
Natural, very loose. You don't even know he's doing a set.
Part of Peter's routine is I lose face, and many comics have used that line 3, 4, or 5 comics down the road that later in the show when they get into a spot and they use Peter's line. And they get tremendous laughs from it, and Peter has no idea. He should be getting royalties.
Thank you very much. My name is Peter Chen. I lose my face.
My name is Peter Chen. I lose my face. Thank you very much. It has been on too long. Thank you very much. My name is Peter Chen. I lose my face. Thank you very much. My time just got short. Thank you very much. My name is Peter Chen. I lose my face. My name is Peter Chen. I lose my face. My name is Peter Chen. I lose my face. Thank you very much. My name is Peter Chen. I lose my face. Thank you.
I gotta go. Thank you very much. You guys be fun. Thank you. I lose face. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Peter Chen. Thank you. I lose face. Thank you.
He'll be trying to impress you with what hard work this is, trying to appeal to the Asian work ethic. Don't believe a word he says. Stand-up comedy is the easiest job in the world. It's fantastic. All you have to do is talk and make smart remarks for a living. I love it, and so does Peter.
So it's a bizarre business. It's unlike anything else.
You just gotta hang in there.
Hello, I'm Peter Chen, and you are watching Sounds Within with L.V. Smith.
Hey everybody, my name's Peg, and we are Ohm. And this is
Chris Poland, Gene McEwen.
And you are watching Anybody Can Play Guitar by James Jones.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Cheers. Take time to be a dad today.
You are watching Behind the Curtains.
Hello, I'm Peter Chen, and you are watching Sounds Within with L.V. Smith.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that caught me.
It's a tough one. That documentary is a true story, and you know, I'm the Asian version of Rodney Dangerfield. Inside the documentary, I say I lose face, and the reason why I lose face is I cannot save face. So Asian try to save face, which means get respect. I lose face, lose respect, and Rodney Dangerfield here always get no respect. So I'm the Asian version of Rodney Dangerfield.
So you lose face.
I lose face. Yeah, it's in the doc.
It's in the doc.
And if you want to see my stand-up, I perform all over the place, regular at the Ice House, the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, and many other places. But if you want to watch a short version of my stand-up yeah, you can show them if you like.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to do that. But what does it take to produce that kind of material?
Well,
besides experiences.
Okay, there's two different things. The producing of the comedy show is very easy. You just get the owner or the club manager to approve your camera in there, or you can even use their. Most of the time, they will give you a DVD now of your show, or you can pay someone. Now, I have my own camera, so I just set a camera up. But you have to have permission to tape it in a club. That's producing. What does it take for the show? Well, you've seen the documentary, you know how difficult it is, and so many obstacles, and you have to spend years, you have to write your own jokes, You had to spend tons of time waiting in line and to try your material. And of course, you have to go to open mic. All these things are what the stand-up comedians have to go through to be successful.
Yes, that is a lot of work, truly a lot of work. Now, where do you plan to be appearing down the road?
Oh, stand-up comedy, I really don't do that much, although I'm still regular at these clubs, but I'm really trying to be more of my own project, which is a feature film I'm trying to produce, and of course a TV show here, and also writing more and directing more in terms of my creative process, but not that much of stand-up. If I have to, I'll do it, but I mean, if there is some opportunity, like maybe a senior center show, maybe a hospital, which I did many times with the magic and the balloon and all that stuff. We went to the hospital and we did do a show for them. And these people are in wheelchairs and there's no microphone. It's in the cafeteria, and these people who are all in very sick, but we make them laugh.
You definitely could bring laughter, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, again, how can the audience get in contact with you?
Oh, I do have a website. It's www.peterchen.info. That's PETRCHENINFO.
Sounds great, sounds great. Now, what are you going to take the audience out with?
Oh, I've been there before. This is a wonderful show. It's called Sounds Within. And what will bring us out is my basic life philosophy is that we all depend on each other, that we cannot live by ourselves, and that we need to think about Mother Earth, and to live a life that is what we call at service. So I am at service to make this world a better world.
Great. So what's the name of the clip you're going to share with us?
It's a stand-up comedy show. The name of the clip is Peter Chen's Comedy.
Peter Chen's Comedy with Peter Chen. Folks, you watch another episode of Sounds Within, and we want to keep spreading more the horizon what sound is, be it in comedy, music, spoken word, or whatever, just as long as it brings positivity and knowledge. With that being said, folks, we'll catch you then. Peace.
Yeah, I'm originally from Hong Kong, and I've been U.S. citizen for many years. And the longer you become a citizen of any country, I try to look like the people of the country. That's why I'm looking more and more like Mexican. Oh man, it's good to be Asian American and look like a Mexican, because the Mexican American are looking more and more like Asian American. That's why we're cooking each other's food. Kitchen of a Chinese restaurant, you look at the kitchen, everybody working in a Chinese restaurant is a Mexican, look like one. I got a job in a Mexican restaurant, anybody is? But I lose face. The Asian like to save face, which means get respect. I lose face, which means lose respect. I lose face because I'm a cook in a Mexican restaurant and I don't cook. Everything in a Mexican restaurant already cooked. The bean, the rice, the chicken, everything's cooked. Somewhere in the middle of the night said, hey, it's time to cook Mexican food. All I do is make burritos. Burritos to me look like a giant egg roll, don't you think so? See, egg roll should not be called egg roll. I never see egg in egg roll, right? If you see an egg roll, I'm pretty sure it's a breakfast burrito. I'm pretty sure, man. Speaking about food, you guys like Chinese food? All of it. $2.95, all you can eat. The waiter brought me 1 egg roll and 1 beef sprout. I said, hey waiter, what's this? He said, that's all you can eat. I lose face. I went to another Chinese restaurant. Well, you guys are lucky I went to so many Chinese restaurants. This restaurant is called You Fu. I figured something was wrong. I came out look at the sign, it says to fool you. They serve warm beer. The beer imported all the way from the Yellow River of China. The beer called Long Leak. Warm, it's bubbly, yeah. Oh, it's not easy being Asian, you know. I mean, I'm single, I can never get a date, right? Every time I ask a girl out, she said no. Finally, a girl said yes. I said, are you sure? She thought about it, said, maybe not. One girl, she wanted to see more of me. I showed it to her. She said, that's not more, that's less. After the first date, I took her home, I dropped her off, I asked her for a kiss goodbye. She said, you Chinese, you don't kiss, you bow. On the second date, I took her home, I asked her for a little piece. She gave me a piece of her mind. I said, don't lose your mind, I'm losing face. On the third date, I took her home, I dropped her off, half a block from my house. She says, why? I said, you don't go all the way, I don't go all the way. And when I was a little kid, my dad took me fishing. He lost his fishing line. He said, son, throw me a line. I said, 2 Jews went to a bar. He got mad. He said, what is that? I said, that's a joke, Dad. He said, well, there's a joke here. Hey, when you go to America, immigrated from Hong Kong, I want you to remember 2 words, and it will open many, many doors for you. I said, yeah, Dad, what is it? He says, push and pull. We Americans now, but in America, when we eat Chinese food, we still use chopsticks. I'm good with chopsticks, but I could never get enough food on my plate. I don't know why, until I caught my old man greasing my chopstick with green peanut oil. My dad told me to stay in shape. He said, son, you should go jogging in front of moving vehicles. But Dad, I could get killed. He said, that's the point. I was thinking, I get good at jogging in front of moving vehicles. Now he brought me these leg irons to slow me down. Dad, I could get killed. He said, that's the point. My uncle is an idiot. He's 59 years old. He wants to look young and do young things. He took the youth pill. You ever take the youth pill? He took the youth pill for 6 months. He did not look any younger, but he moved back into his parents' house. He wrecked his dad's car. He got thrown out of adult school and got a teenager pregnant. Can you believe this guy? You ever take those self-awareness class where you look in the mirror and you self-improve yourself, say, I love myself, I love myself? I took the same class, but I can look in the mirror and say, I'm a good driver, I'm a good driver. I drove for 30 years. I never have an accident. I have a lot of accidents happening behind me. What's your first thinking? You go to a special Asian traffic school. I went, in the class they show a film of other Asian drivers. Scares me to death. The film named Nightmare on Wall Street. You know what I like to do when I drive? I like to go one-way traffic on the opposite direction. You scream and yell, I do the same thing. And, hey, you watch where you're going. Oh, damn you too. They always give me the finger. Hey, I'm not number one. I tell you, man, I want to clear a rumor. You know, I know we Asians, we don't eat dogs, okay? No, we don't eat dogs, we eat cats. They taste like chicken. No, I'm just kidding. We like dogs better. No, I have a small dog. I love my dog. I have a small dog, a Chihuahua, Taco Bell, you know, the Chihuahua dog. Yeah, the Chihuahua dog. I have a small pet. I don't keep a pet with genitals bigger than mine. My dog has a Chinese name. I call it Lick It Up. Come here, lick it up. Come here, lick it up. You missed a spot there, right there. Speaking of names, like Chinese names, you know, Chinese names are very funny. Okay, don't kill me, okay? It's a joke. There's a guy called Mr. Low. Yeah, he has a milk factory in China. His name Low Fat. Mr. Ding, he's a minister of China's church bell. His name Ding Dong. Mr. Hao, he doesn't have a job in China. His name How Come? And Mr. Ong, he's a director of Chinese Gong Show. They canceled the show. His name Ong Too Long. You guys want to know my Chinese nickname? Yeah. All right, cool. Good audience. My Chinese nickname is Ding Ho. Chinese American call me Gong Ho. Mexican American call me Band Ho. On the freeway, they call me You Ain't Ho. In West Hollywood, they just call me Ho. And in the Mexican restaurant where I work, they call me Mijo.
Hey everybody, my name's Peg, and we are Ohm, and this is
Chris Poland. Gene McEwen.
and you are watching Anybody Can Play Guitar by James Jones.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Cheers. Take time to be a dad today.
You are watching Behind the Curtains.
Hi, I'm Roger Anthony Whiting.
And Mark Ricciardi.
And you are watching the Arroyo Channel.